We like that. So we're here back on another Couch Coach Live, another installment of this week's Couch Coach Live. Definitely huge shout out to we're powered by this week by the good folks at Goalie. Head over to goalie.com, use the promo code Couch Coach, get yourself 10% off on some Goalie gummies. Got a great show lined up for you. I know we haven't talked hoops in a minute, so it's been a while. We've been so caught up with the NFL and everything that's happening, but great show. We definitely gonna do some hoops. So we got a special guest in the building, my Off the Ball Network brethren. I got Cole from Nothin But Airtime Podcast. What's going on, Cole?
Nothing much, man. Happy to talk hoops, y'all. It's gonna be a pretty good one. So.
Yes, indeed, and definitely congratulations on graduating from college this weekend.
All right, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
Congrats.
Yeah, so big moment, big moment. So
yeah, man, been grinding the pod and everything. Yeah. Hey, man, it's been doing its thing.
What you get your degree in?
It's construction management and business. So a lot of cost estimating for those projects, man. So
okay, man, that's great, man.
Oh, thank you guys very much. So thank you.
You know. Let me hold something. Brad.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah,
I got a nonprofit.
All right.
I reach back after the show. I'll take care of it. All right.
Is that are we recording?
Yes. We're on.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Cool.
We're live.
My bad.
What's going on, JB?
Nothing much, man. Long time no see. What's up, Maui?
What up, Jay Bizzle?
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Where everybody at? Where'd y'all go? Yeah. I'm scared.
All right,
what happened? I'm here, right?
Okay.
We're good.
We're here.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So what's going on, Mal?
Oh, me?
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh man, I don't know. We was, every once in a while, me and you just connect mentally, and I was like, man, please let him bring up Pat Bev.
Oh,
and then I saw what the show was about, and I was like, my dude.
We're gonna talk about
my dude.
we're gonna talk about Pat Beverly and the elephant in the room, and because when he talked about our boy. It's funny because when I talked to I remember our cousin Cool, we were talking the other day about CP, and, and we were talking about how like he felt the same way about CP, how we felt, and we was like, thank you, like man, like it's just one of those things where it's like, and that's why I was like, you know what, it's like we in unison when it comes to this Chris Paul dialogue. I put it that way. It's not it's. It comes from a good place. I put it that way. It's how we roll. But great lead off. So we gotta talk about Pat Beverly. So I guess you consider he's been on like the ESPN Car Wash, like he's been on Get Up, he's been on First Take, he just been making his rounds. And he said a lot of interesting things, obviously recapping the Suns Maverick series, and just talk about other topics of the NBA, and most notably his thoughts on Chris Paul. Pretty much the league is scared of Chris Paul, and Chris Paul is a cone, which was by far I think was TV gold to call a man a cone. So
hey, he said that he would call his girl up, have a bottle of wine with her when he had Chris Paul next on the schedule. When Steph was in town, that was 8:00. Don't call me. Thank you very much. So,
So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with you first, Cole. Your thoughts on Pat Bev on First Take / ESPN.
I think TV needs more of it, man. I think TV needs more of it. I was a fan, and I like, and it, albeit the man is delusional, but I'm all for the delusion. I mean, we got Skip talking about Jimmy Butler being a better player than Luka Doncic. Give me all the delusion. I mean, I just want to see it. So Pat Bev openly calling out Paul George. He was like, "Yeah, I got a teammate said he didn't want." You know what? Paul George said he didn't want to play the Suns. All of it was awesome. I was a big fan, and look, this is coming from a guy who's not the biggest CP fan in the world, so let it rip. Let it rip, Pat Bev. Let it rip.
Yeah, right. JB, what you got?
Man, Pat Bev has had a monumental month. I mean, he celebrated the play-in victory like they won the championship, and now the first thing. So this thing I'm gonna say about Pat Bev, I think he has like a future in the media. He's actually very well spoken. Actually, if you get past some of the shenanigans and some like the opinions he has, he's kind of well spoken. But like, yeah, man, he and Chris Paul don't get along, man. He doesn't get along with Chris Paul, and he does not get along with Westbrook. But I'm not gonna lie, man. Like some of the stuff he said, he's like a comedian, man. The guy was a comedian. So yeah, but like Cole said, he is a bit delusional. But hey, I mean, Skip's on TV. Shannon can be a bit delusional too. And our man, Nick Wright, man, he's the king of delusional. He's another one. So I mean, if they can be on TV, hell, man, Pep deserves to be on TV. That's all I gotta say about that.
What you got, Mal?
Yeah, I feel the same thing. I felt like at first I was like, oh man, we needed this. Then I was like, oh, he's getting on my nerves because he was kind of like interrupting each. I wanted him to rebuttal when everybody said, but he was kind of like cutting them off. So that was getting on my nerves. But I watched it today and he cleaned it up a little bit more. And then I had to really look at him. And you got to understand he's undersized. He has that burning desire that a star should have. So he has to do other things that some superstars, like a Giannis, you know what I mean? Giannis is a big boy that can run downhill. He can't do those things. So he's a pest. So his brain is moving a mile, 3,000 miles. And he's got to be delusional to believe in himself. And I get it. Then I saw on Instagram, somebody say, hey man, he's from the west side of Chicago. They'll never give anybody credit. Right. And I was like, okay, but I'm sure some of the stuff he's saying about CP is true.
Yeah.
Like my whole thing is this year has really seen a lot of the older players and that they're on their way out. You saw it. You had to be like LeBron James, who really to me only can play 3 quarters. And it's how he plays those 3 quarters to even survive. Like Harden, the game has changed, so he's lost something. Westbrook clearly hasn't lost something, and Chris Paul. And then I was thinking, I said, damn, so when you think about Harden, Chris Paul, and Westbrook, they all having issues with their contract. Where the hell did they get paid from? I said, damn, Houston Rockets paid these 3. And I said, damn, they all played for OKC too. That's so interesting to me. And it looks like to me, all 3 of them are on their way out. So like for me, has anybody ever got the Supermax before? You know what I'm saying? Has anybody ever, who do y'all know that actually got the Supermax?
Giannis did. Giannis got it. Yeah, Giannis got it.
Giannis got the Supermax. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Harden got it too, and it didn't look bad his first like few years in Houston, right? Actually, right. But Rudy Gobert got it as well too. He got the Supermax. Okay. Yeah. So
because I was thinking about that today. I was like, when you look at these 3, like, damn, what are they going to do? Are they going to say, hey, I want the Supermax, or are they going to be like, I want to be on a winning team. I can't do as much, so I want to get people around me so I don't have to work as hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Giannis, B. Like Giannis looked so tired and didn't know what he really wanted to do. He was looking around like, yo, like, what's good, homie? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and he couldn't complain. I mean, you got to go and look at your bank account, homie. Like, that's just the truth, you know? But yeah, I loved it too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pat Bev.
I think I need a Pat Bev JJ Redick show. I loved JJ Redick a lot on ESPN.
Me too.
He's very analytical. He's a good brain. He speaks very professionally. He's got a pretty good show. He ran himself. He's kind of built himself up, the old man in the 3. So I think him and Pat Bev, you talk about having those 2 NBA heads with Pat Bev with kind of that like bulldog mentality, and JJ with that analytical brain playing the technical side of ball. That would make a pretty good NBA show, in my opinion. I don't need keep calm and carry on anymore. I need JJ and Pat Bev. That's what I need.
Did you guys listen to because on the Old Man and 3, he had Pat Beverly on there, I want to say about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that was a really good that was a really good episode right there. They both have very good chemistry together too. Like actually, another one that I think would be an intriguing duo if they both ended up in the media would be Draymond and Patrick Beverly together.
Yeah, we talked about.
I think that could be interesting as well. So
Bev reminds me of you, Chris. He reminds me of you, Coach, because he's very loyal to his teammates, ex-teammates, and ex-teams. Like he really believed that those Clippers had a chance. Like you know me, how I feel about the bubble. And he was like, well, that's an asterisk. But if y'all was supposed to win that year, you know what I mean? Yeah. Y'all was supposed to win that year. And if they would have won, he wouldn't say that. And he wanted to play in that bubble because it was him that said, hey, if the king wants to play, I'm ready to play.
We playing. We all playing. Yeah.
We playing. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Cole. I'm a little passionate about the bubble. Yeah. So sorry about that.
And yes. And the bubble thing, I hate when people bring that up because to me, it happened. And I think to me, I don't care what nobody say, and I'll down the sword for this. That was the most hardest one because, you couldn't go nowhere. So that, when you had bad games, so you had bad situations, it ain't like I can drive off this campus and go and just clear my mind. You're stuck in it. So now to that point, I get you a second. I get you a second, Cole. I got you.
You're good.
I got you. Yeah. So that's what I think I hate about the bubble thing. I really just hate that people just like minimize the bubble. That was huge. Like to me, I thought that was probably the toughest to hold. It being in that type of situation.
I don't think it meant. I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't think it minimizes. I just think that, what happened, though, I mean, look, man, they won the championship fair and square, but I think that you have to look at what happened post-bubble, though. I mean, a lot of the guys that were making shots in the bubble, and they were making these shots, and they were shooting these unbelievable positions, when the playoffs went back to a regular format, they didn't perform well. And, one of the things that I think is kind of bothersome to me is that, the Clippers, they had their issues, and I think a lot of their issues dealt with Doc, but people were clowning Paul George and saying he sucked, but you saw how he played last year in a regular playoff format. Exactly. But you had people on the Lakers who, when the going got tough and they were going against a sellout crowd in Phoenix, they couldn't make anything, but they were making everything when there were no fans. So that's my thing. Look, I look at it from both ways. You can't take anything away from them. They won the championship fair and square. But when you look at what's happened the 2 years after the bubble, I mean, you kind of look at it okay, if there was a regular playoff format, would they still have won? That's my point.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But yeah, and I agree with that.
We got you, Cole. Don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah, so that was I'm more so not because we both in agreement, but a lot of people just ignore it as if it's
it happened. It happened.
I'm not talking about
I'm talking about,
Cole, Twitter. What's been the biggest discussion amongst our colleagues at half the time? Oh, that don't count. It do. And that's one thing where it's I said, I will fall on the sword for that because that's one of those discussions that pisses me off, but it's just really?
You can't take it away. But Grant Williams is not hitting 8 threes, 8 threes a game. You know what I'm saying? Grant Williams lit it up at home, and Pat Connaughton, Wes Matthews, and Grayson Allen sucked in Boston. There is clearly a home court advantage for role guys that hit threes. Yeah. And there was no home court advantage in the bubble. Right. Everyone was hitting threes.
That's great, Cole. Yeah. That is great. That's what it is. You're right.
So you can't take anything away because everybody was playing in the same situations. It was just the fact that the Lakers had better role guys than most other of the guys. And then the fact that they just blew it all up was leading into JB's point, why that post-bubble Lakers had an issue, because you got rid of Alex Caruso and KCP and all of those guys, who played really well for you in a bubble situation, who played really well for you at home. So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel in the bubble. Yeah. Role guys are make or break playoff runs a lot of times. And if you don't have to worry about them traveling to a hostile environment, traveling to the Phoenix Arena, traveling to the Garden, it's a little different. So
yeah. And going back to the Pat Bev situation, yeah, like to me, I always when it comes to NBA players, I give them the credit. Like, hey, I listen to them more than I would listen to other other people, Nick Wright and all, everybody that we kind of mentioned already. The thing about the Chris Paul thing, like the whole thing about like the fouls and how he don't get calls and like stuff, we belabored that point since the beginning of this podcast, Maui, where we talk about this all the time. We talk about this now, and we know, like, we think about that. But I think in essence, I think he is very entertaining. I think, like you said, and a lot of it too, I think, kind of like, hey, I need to show out because this opportunity can present itself. Almost kind of how I remember how Perk was in the beginning, where Perk kind of was saying some wild stuff in the beginning. He still say wild stuff to this day, but it kind of reminded me how Perk was when he first started out as far as an analyst. But I enjoyed it, and like you said, and I think he ruffled some feathers. Like Dame Lillard and all them kind of came up like, man, you can't be saying stuff like that, and they know it's the truth. It's almost like, hey, why are you violating the code? Because it's almost like because if it wasn't a big deal. Wow, because he said, nobody's scared of Chris Paul, but I mean, Chris Paul's 37 years old. Like, that's not nothing. That's not like oh my God, no one's not scared of Chris Paul. I mean, that's okay.
Well, look at the feathers he ruffled. He's had problems with Dame in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Paul George didn't come out and speak out against it. You know what? So like it was guys that already had problems with Pat Bev that spoke out against Pat Bev. So. But he right though. Like, but I'll leave my Phoenix Suns banter. I told you like last year, but I'll leave that alone. So
I think Matt Barnes, man, saying what he said, I think Bev today came a little different. He still spoke. He was a little more patient. He looked a little more cleaned up, but he wasn't as raw as he was yesterday. I feel like he pulled back just a little bit. Maybe I'm tripping. Do y'all know something else? I don't know.
No, but he the same dude that was talking about Kwame Brown.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
That's my thing is like keep that same energy because and that's the thing that pissed me off about Matt Barnes the other night because he was like, well, Chris Paul's one of the top point guards. Man, who gives a damn about what he's done since 2005? What did he do these last 5 games?
Damn,
that's what we talking about.
Coach, you got me. You right.
No, but
I was holding that one. I thought about that when at work. I'm gonna throw this to him.
And Chris, to piggyback off of what you were saying, like that stuff that they did, him and Gilbert Arenas, like Kwame Brown has just tried to live his life in peace and quiet, and they went after him for no reason. And I mean, like the thing that kind of bothers me about the Kwame Brown situation is that can we just admit that Michael Jordan's a lousy exec? And he should have never been picked in the first. Like a lot of like you're saying that he's a bust because he should have never been the number 1 pick.
He took Al Morrison.
Yeah, no, he took Al Morrison too. He's a great player, but he's a lousy exec and he's a sketchy owner too, or whatever. And people keep on coming. The kid should have never been drafted number 1. Exactly. He shouldn't have been drafted number 1. And it's not his fault that he was drafted number 1. When you get drafted number 1, you have these expectations, and the kid wasn't ready for it. And he doesn't talk. He just tries to live his best life. And they were coming after him last year, which I thought was unnecessary.
Right, and I guarantee you, if Matt Barnes was in the situation, he was 18 coming out of college, and he had to live up a high expectations of being with that Wizards team that was this veteran-laden team, and you an 18-year-old kid, that was a wrong fit anyway.
Yeah.
So that's right, and I'm just like, people don't understand the type of stuff. People just look at it all because you just look at well, he got drafted. He's number 1 overall pick. He won this and third. He was in the wrong situation. A lot of us would have folded. Could you imagine being an 18-year-old kid, fresh from a prom, and then you getting drafted by Michael Jordan, and all these high expectations, a guy that we all look up to, and because Kwame's our age. Could you imagine being that young and having to live under that type of pressure? Like we all.
Cole, you want to speak?
I would have folded like a beach shell.
I got nothing on that, man.
I got it. Well, by Kwame speaking out, it's a lot of stuff. That's why I love that ever since the pandemic, everybody's being able to come to StreamYard and Zoom and be able to speak their piece. because people came out and said that he was supposed to be drafted number 1 because of everybody else. When he was working out, he was the best player, but he didn't play the way that Jordan then wanted him to play. He didn't play that way. So if he would have been on another team that probably had a better offensive minded type of coach, or, you know what I'm saying, maybe played in the Western Conference or something like that, you might have seen a complete different player.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Also, that's the problem with the bubble. There's a lot of guys that was able to get a chance to play, but then now everything is getting back to normal. They can't play like they were. And I remember somebody said that. They said even in contracts, certain players supposed to get so many touches and this and that. And it's not always about winning. That's why this conference today, that these conference championships is important, because you can't say all these teams play team ball. All these teams play team ball. You know what I mean? But anyway, my bad.
Yeah.
But no,
It's the ginger ale, fellas.
On your point, Maui,
Ginger ale.
TJ Warren, prime example.
Yep,
TJ Warren had
Right.
like a couple 40-point games for Indiana. Like, where the hell is this coming from?
Bubba
and
Jordan.
And now he's got a couple big dollars in his bank account from Indiana. He ain't played a game since. So.
Right.
TJ Warren did my favorite thing of like sucking it to a coach that you don't like. He came back and was like, "Oh, I hate this guy. I'm gonna have surgery and I'm gonna miss the rest of the year." That's like really.
Jamal Murray is gonna come back the way they thinking that he's gonna come back. If he's gonna come back playing like he played in the bubble, you know what I mean? That's why I'm thinking the same thing. I'm saying I don't think he's gonna play like he did.
And on the bubble side of things, if you talk to certain players, it's easy. It's much easier to shoot in an empty gym and an closed gym, because you don't have that. Like, just from a pure basketball standpoint, you don't have that extended view where it looks a little deeper because you have 80 rows of stands behind the hoop. You know,
Right.
So of course you're gonna shoot a little bit better in a quiet, enclosed gym. Everything's controlled for you.
Yeah.
So
before we go on to our next topic, we got breaking news. The Orlando Magic will get the number 1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft. So, hey, you know, my boy, the other one, Cole Anthony, he gonna get some help. So shout out to my little nephew. He'll get some help.
Hey, Lakers, trade Westbrook to Orlando for that number 1 pick.
Wow, so they can get their 6th point guard? I don't know what Orlando's doing. They have like 6 point guards. They got RJ and Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz and now Jalen Suggs. Like,
hey, coach, you ain't have to laugh like Smokey Robinson. That's wrong.
But Orlando,
you had to hit me with the high voice.
Wild. That's wild. So let's talk about actually the team that had the number 1 overall pick a few years ago, the Phoenix Suns. So, fellas, has the championship window closed on the Phoenix Suns? I'm gonna go with you first, Cole. What you got?
Yes, it has. Absolutely. I think it's Luka's time now. I think Luka is here. You have the Warriors developing Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga. You have to expect the Lakers will get somebody back. You have to expect that the Nuggets are going to have Jokic and potentially Flip Porter for something. You don't have DeAndre Ayton. You're in this weird spot. Or are you going to re-sign DeAndre Ayton? And if they do, I'm going to reinforce the yes, because look at the 2 teams in the Western Conference Finals right now. They're both small ball teams. They went small ball against DeAndre Ayton, put Cleaver at the center, spread him out. Ayton didn't play that well. So if you pay him big, it's a guard-driven league once it gets into the postseason for a lot of different teams. I just don't like it. And you look at Devin Booker, and a couple years ago, everyone was giving him flack about getting double teamed in pickup. Well, he's getting double teamed last night or a couple nights ago, and it looks poor. So I don't know. It's not looking promising. I'll say that, to say the least. So,
yeah. What you got, JB?
Is their championship window closed? I wouldn't say it's completely closed, but it's down near closed. Like, I mean, there might be like a little crack. So, I mean, I do think that there are some things that they can do this off season, but yeah, man. And Cole didn't mention this. I'm not really worried so much about the Lakers. They're like dysfunction right now. I think that the team that is probably going to make a big step next year, if they're healthy, is probably the Clippers. Like, they basically made a lot of moves, and they're going to have a Kawhi. They'll have Paul George along with Norman Powell and the others. You mentioned Murray will be coming back as well. It's just crazy. Like, a lot of the times these windows that we think are going to stay open for 5 or 6 years, they're not actually open for that long. You have a short window to win a championship. If you don't, it's over with. And you mentioned the Warriors. I think the Warriors are actually not in that great of a position right now, man. I don't really like the way we'll go into the when we talk about the conference finals, but the Warriors really have not been playing well. Steph does not look like the same player he was. Yeah, they've developed Jordan Poole, but I don't know, man. I think the Warriors might be a team that takes a step back next year. They might not be the number 3 seed in the West next year. They might be 5th or 6th. So, yeah, I think the Suns, it might not be completely closed, but it's like 95% closed.
What you got, Mal? What you got, Mal?
Quick question, fellas, before I read my take. Would you trade Wiseman for Ayton?
No.
No.
Not for that.
I thought.
I'd need like a Gary Payton or like a Kuminga. I think I'd need like another piece in there. But
do y'all think that Ayton would look good with the Warriors? Would you think different, JB, if they got Ayton?
I just think that Steph and them are kind of old, man. Like Steph and Clay are getting up there. Like for me, I think that LeBron is kind of an outlier for a guy to like be that dominant for that long. Usually we start seeing players decline after about 32 or 33, and I think the Warriors are kind of on the decline. And I don't think anybody's been talking about this, but Draymond Green's reluctance to shoot has been very disturbing, man. Like he gets the ball under the basket, he doesn't shoot, he passes it out or whatever. It's almost like they're playing 4-on-5 sometimes. So I just don't like what I've been seeing from the Warriors, man. And you saw my post on Facebook the other day, because you commented, yeah. So
I see it too. Do you think they should have kept Curry coming off the bench? I thought they were dangerous by that. Cole, let me tell you, one of the most important spots on a championship team is the 6th man.
Yes,
he is dangerous. And I'm sitting there like, and when they made that change, I said, oh man, they're gonna mess around and be dangerous. You know what I mean? And I think when you have a guy like a Steph Curry or a Clay, because they are older, that you should be able to do. There shouldn't even be an issue. You know what I mean? But everybody's talking about basketball and egos. I think anyway. So the window of the Phoenix Suns. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say what you say, JB. I think it is slightly closing. I seen something about Ayton and the coach had some issues. And he said some words, and they hadn't paid Ayton. I would have thought they'd have played Ayton because having Chris Paul there and you got Ayton there, he's one of the reasons why you got there. You know what I mean? So I would have thought they would have went on ahead and took care of that situation with his money, and they
but he wanted a max contract though. And my thing is this: I like Ayton. I think he's a very good player, but I don't think he's a max contract player because he can't really create his own shot, and he's he's not assertive. So I don't think he's a max contract.
Every time over Ayton. I'm taking Bridges 10 times out of 10 twice on Sunday over Ayton.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. We speaking about Chris Paul. I think as a point guard, right? And you have a big and the type of point guard that he was, I don't even think that he used Ayton or McGee to the advantage that they should have. You understand what I'm saying?
Understood, but he made Bismack Biyombo playable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he can make just about any big playable. So, like, if you don't have, in my opinion, on centers, if you don't have a star center, if you don't have a Nikola Jokic, a Joel Embiid, a Karl Anthony Towns, you should almost treat them like running backs. You should get like a guy that can shoot threes, a guy that rim runs, a guy that can defend the rim. Just run a committee. And I think that's what the Suns want to do without Ayton there. So I think that's why they didn't pay him. They paid Bridges because the league is getting smaller. It is reliance on more wings. Like, look at who's in the Final Four. Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole are wings. Luka Doncic needs a guy to defend him. Giannis is a wing. Jason Tatum's a wing. Jimmy Butler's a wing. Like, it is wing dependent. So I understood why they did Bridges, but I don't know. I'm not.
And I also think this. I think that if you had to like ask me like how sure I am Ayton's going to be on their roster like October 1st, 2022, I would say I'm 85% sure because I'm not sure that a team will be willing to give up the sign and trade because Phoenix is not going to let him go for anything. He's a restricted free agent. I think that Phoenix is going to look at it this way: he can sign a contract with another team and we can match it. Because if you get a max from another team, it's not going to be as high. So you can match it, and then maybe, let's say January or February, you can flip him for something else. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen, because I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to be willing to do a sign and trade, like give him a max contract and then give up players and probably draft picks. So I think that's ultimately what's going to happen.
So for me, with the injuries, I'm going to say, I said maybe a close no. I'm going to say no, because I think that they do have to make some major moves, because even Cameron Payne said, man, we were playing hurt. But you look at Booker, and Book has those issues, and they just keep happening and keep happening and keep happening. So you can look at him like Lillard. Like Lillard gets hurt so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna say it is closing.
I got a question on this one. Ayton was rumored for Sabonis. You think if Sabonis comes in, this team wins?
No, because Sabonis is atrocious defensively. I mean, I think that's the issue, and
that's what you get Bridges and Crowder for. You know, like,
yeah,
you know
but still, but I think that when you look at the playoffs, though, you do need a big that he can defend. I mean, you saw how bad Luka. You saw how bad Luka made. And Luka can make. Can you imagine what Luka would do to Sabonis? Like if you have Sabonis up high trying to defend him.
Agreed, but I think the 5-out stuff kind of helps him a little bit too. Because
now I would say this. No, I would say this. I think that if you trade him for another center, I would be on the phone with Indiana and trying to get Miles Turner for him. I think that's a better fit.
Siakam, we're looking because the Raptors.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah.
That would be a little interesting.
Siakam would be another one that I would maybe consider flipping them for as well. So
I think that Ayton's okay. I'm gonna say he's okay. I think it's somebody. I think mentally he got broke down. I think the last two players, I think he got broke down, and the coach. Sometimes you got to have a coach to be able to. Okay, I'm gonna go football for you guys. You know what I'm saying? I remember the Steelers was playing the Packers, and Clay Matthews, Kevin Green went to him and said, "Son, it's time for you to be who you are." You know what I mean? And sometimes the delivery has to be a certain way, and maybe it's just not. It's no excuse. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be professional, and maybe Williams just couldn't give him that motivation that he needed, because he knew. They making me an issue. Like they're embarrassing me, and I don't have any help. You know what I mean? Yeah. Chris Paul is like, they embarrass me, and I don't have any help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think their championship window has closed. I think as far as when I think about championship, a team that will make the Western Conference Finals. I don't see this team making the Western Conference Finals going forward. Like we talked about, to belabor you guys' point, Denver will be back. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. be back. Also, Jamal Murray. The Clippers will be back, obviously, with a healthy Kawhi. It's a lot of teams in the Western Conference that I think could definitely make some headway. This, I think, was their perfect opportunity in this situation. As far as getting back there. So I think their window has closed. I don't see them. They'll still be a playoff team. Don't get me wrong. I doubt if they'll win 60 games again.
Oh, they probably won't.
See them. They could probably still be 50 win potentially. But I think that's their apex at this point, how this current roster is constructed. If there's moves in the offseason, I can't forecast that at this point, but looking at this roster now, I can't envision this team making a championship run.
And I think Crowder is probably going to be gone at the end of the year. So I think they're probably going to, because Crowder is going to be on the last year of his contract. So I think they'll probably flip Crowder for something as well. So
and then he's going to be a potential piece to a puzzle for a team that we not even maybe talking about, because we always talk about him, Malby, like as far as when we look at a heat check guy, like because what team did we say who need like Denver? We were saying like who we think Denver needs like a heat check kind of guy, like
Bucks.
As far as Bucks,
filling that
the
PJ
Bucks.
Tucker role, honest to God, like
So that's what I'm saying. So if he leaves, that's another one where I think he could potentially help actually make Phoenix even worse as far as when it comes to the pecking order in the Western Conference. Because, like you said, if he leaves, And so
I think Draymond said it best. He said there's 82 game players, and then there's 16 game players, and I feel like the Suns have a lot of 82 game players. The Jazz too. Those guys are always near the top of the pecking order, 1-2 seeds, and then come playoff time, you got Chris Paul who's choked 2-0 leads. And Jazz are in the same boat. So I think they got a lot of 82 game players, and they need to get a guy that wants it more than you in the postseason. I don't know if they have that yet. So
I feel like the Suns' biggest problem was they act like they won the championship.
Oh yeah, they were very arrogant. They were very cocky. I think that the reason why Pat Beverly and Anthony Edwards were having a time with them is because like what Anthony Edwards said, he said that like during the regular season, that last game, they were making fun of them. They were talking shit, saying, "Oh yeah, you guys will be lucky to make the playoffs." That's why a lot of people are having a fun time with it. And then how they were mocking Luka during the series.
Mm-hmm.
So Luka said it's easy to talk when you guys are up. Then he put on an absolute show. He earned my respect, man. I was not a Luka guy. I thought he was Harden 2.0, and here he is just being a dude.
Me neither. Coach loved him.
All right, this is kind of a sad story, Cole. So we did for Off the Ball Network maybe like 2 years ago. We did an all-time lineup, right?
Yeah.
So we had I think 6 players. So my 6th man was Luka. Everybody laughed at me because and I was like, watch, y'all gonna laugh now, but you're gonna cry later. I seen the potential, and I remember when people saying, "Oh, him over Marvin Bagley," because I remember I had him in a mock draft over Marvin Bagley III, and one of the guys like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "You need to watch some international basketball, son."
It's a little different than college out there. Like you see, the Wembanyama kid is going to be the same way. I feel like
this man was playing against grown dudes and like a teenager. He was 14 years old playing professional grown dudes. Like
there's footage of him playing like Russ in the Olympics, and I was like, yeah, he's clearly like with it. I was a little worried because he comes in out of shape. You hear the stories that he's drinking sweet tea in the locker room. I'm like, oh my gosh. We're James Harden all over again. Like I was like, he's James Harden and Jaws Russell Westbrook.
This game looked like James Harden. You're right.
And it's scary because he's young, and it's almost like if he have these continuous patterns, how are you going to be at 30?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got Jason Kidd, man.
Too. Yeah.
And I think if Jason Kidd is a point guard, he was a superstar, and they was arguably saying like he was one of the best point guards of all time. Arguably, they were saying that like Jason Kidd had a lot on him coming into the game. And
you got a lot of kind words about Jason Kidd. As a Bucks fan, not a lot of kind words about Jason Kidd.
Right. Yeah, you hated him.
Giannis was talking about how he was talking about water slides and timeouts during games. So I'm not a Jason Kidd guy.
I know you're not, but I'm just saying. And I'm just saying in general, I think when he got when winning the championship, Kobe Bryant passing away and all those different things, I think the pandemic, I think it changed him. And I think he learned, if you look at that Laker team, I say it's a bunch of riffraff on that squad. You know what I mean? And a lot of championships too. And I think that it taught him something. And then nobody's talking about that Laker team always talked about how they loved Jared Dudley. And then I'm seeing I wonder how important Jared Dudley is to that locker room. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get that.
Like, I don't know what he's doing, but I just know that last game that I saw, I was like, yo, this is domination. They took their soul, and then he was like, man, I don't care. This is the third quarter, but guess what? We're losing right now. And I was like, oh man, it ain't looking good. Luka doing 360s with he's doing Olajuwon moves at the 3-point line, shooting threes. Just
dude, he just wanted it more. Cole, it was awesome.
Luka Cole, bro.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, he earned my respect. I was not a fan, and I was always high on Booker, low on Luka, and it flipped, man. It flipped over that series. So
Booker, let the Kardashian go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, absolutely.
Hello. That's the problem. And my nephew ain't never been the same ever since. Shout out to Rashad McCants. He was the first one. So I've been telling y'all about 15 years, leave him alone. But y'all don't be listening. But I digress. Shout out to Rashad McCants. But so guys, let's talk about the Eastern and the Western Conference finals, fellas. We get now there's 4. We got the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. Biggest storylines in these conference finals. What you got, Cole?
Eastern Conference is how tired are the Celtics? Like, you just played 7 games and just got beat up on by Giannis. Al Horford and Grant Williams and Tatum, all those guys were just taking shot after shot, flopping on charges, getting elbowed. Like, how tired are you? Can you withstand Jimmy Butler? Those guys have been sitting and waiting, supposed game scheming against you guys for a week now. So I expect a Heat blowout in game 1, and then the Celtics are going to have to win 4 out of the next 6, and 3 of those will be in Miami. So I feel like that's going to be a tough one for Boston. And then on the West side, it's Jordan Poole versus Jalen Brunson. Steph and Luka are going to get theirs. Of those two, who's gonna earn the bigger millions? Is it going to be Jalen bust out another million Brunson, or is it going to be Jordan Poole me all my money, baby? Come on, I need to see it. So I think that's the big matchup in the West.
Gotcha. Yeah. What you got, JB?
So my biggest storyline in the East is can Boston break through? I mean, this is their 4th time in the conference finals since 2017. So is this going to be the year that they break through? I actually disagree with I disagree with Cole. I don't think that tonight's going to be a blowout. I know that Marcus Smart is not. I know he's not here, and I know Horford's not there. But when I've looked at NBA history, a lot of times the team that had the longer layover is not sharp, and it maybe favors the team who actually came off the 7-game series. So I think that tonight will be a competitive game. Miami, I think it's very important that Miami wins this game. But yeah, for me, the biggest storyline in the East is, can Boston finally break through? And the West, is this a changing of the guard? Because this series to me has like all the recipe for like a changing of the guard. You have the team that's never lost in the conference finals since they've gotten together. You have the team that is trying to get to their 6th finals, and you have this team that's only in their 3rd playoff run that's hungry. So this could be a changing of the guard. A lot of this series kind of reminds me a little bit of when Cleveland went against Detroit in 2007, actually. So that's the storyline for me. Is this a changing of the guard?
I like that comparison.
Yeah. What you got, Mal?
Damn, Jay Bizzle. Boy, where my popcorn at, man? I'm ready. I don't know who's gonna win this Eastern Conference. I don't know. I'm starting to think that the Heat may have a wild card, like Victor Oladipo or something like that. I think that they're gonna throw something in there, and I think that might be the thing. Because that Boston series, I kept seeing the same players, right? And I was like, damn, they ain't got nobody they can throw in them. Like, what's the name? Roy Williams? Will Williams? Is he hurt? Is he playing? Oh, there you go, right there. So he's playing. Okay. So I don't know if Boston is deep enough. You know what I mean? And I don't want Jason Tatum trying to get these tic-tac fouls. You know what I mean? And there be offensive fouls. I get it why he did it with the Bucks, but I think they need to be focused on getting this ball in this hoop. Because one thing, they're younger, and that's an older team, and a lot of them be having knick-knack injuries too. I don't know. Like, are they going to have an answer for Bam? Like, I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting. It's hard for me to pick. I think this is going to be a good series. Yeah. It's hard for me. Now, Western Conference, man. Matchups. Like, regardless of what I don't know. Like, I think Poole did decent, but I don't think he was the Poole that I saw early in the beginning of the playoffs. You know, and truth be told, if Steven, I think Adams did pretty well. I ain't saying he did great, but he always plays well against the Warriors. For some reason, he agitates them with his movement or something. He just can't stay off the ground. That was pissing me off. But he also was getting hurt, you know. And I still think that if Clay didn't get hot, they would have lost, you know. And if Slow-Mo would have made his free throws, they would have lost. You know what I mean?
Kyle.
It's bad, you know. Yeah, it was bad. Whoa. And so I'm really, the way that game 7 was and how dominant they were, and if they could just take just a little bit of that, I don't know, man. I think I really want the Mavs to win, but it's hard to, you know, go against the Warriors. The Warriors reminds me of the Patriots a little bit, where you can't make too many mistakes. You gotta make your free throws. You gotta make your shots. You can't miss layups. You cannot keep your foot off their neck. You know what I mean? You got to play, you gotta switch when you need to switch. You can't, or next thing you know, it's gonna be a problem. So I don't know.
Yeah. I got a few storylines. Obviously, can Miami and Golden State kind of return to their, I wouldn't say championship glory or say, but more so we know Miami 2 years removed from being in the NBA Finals, and we know Golden State is 3 years removed from being in the NBA Finals. Can these two teams kind of get back into that, into the championship round, potentially with the NBA Finals? And then also, you served on both ends. We're looking at, like you said, it could be the change of guard on both ends of the conference. Right. When you look at a guy, JB, you talking about Luka. Now we're thinking about Jason Tatum on the East. It's one of those things where you got two guys who could potentially be now the torchbearers of the NBA. And so this is the opportunity to see, the youth. We call it theoretically the youth, but these two young guys carrying their teams to heights where Dallas, did we necessarily think they were going to make it to the Western Conference Finals? We knew, like, obviously that they were on the verge. Obviously they, those last 2 years, obviously with the struggles with the Clippers, and this year they finally broke through it. So it's kind of one of the things where, hey, they just achieved this level, but we didn't think that. Boston too, I think initially, we looked, especially in the beginning of the season, did we think Boston was going to be in this predicament in the beginning? Not at all. We thought, at the beginning, they were damn near on the verge of not even making the playoffs in the beginning of the year. But they did rebound, and, they was able to do their thing. But those are kind of the two storylines I'm looking forward to in these the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals. So, fellas, let's see what we got next. Any player or team under the most pressure, and this is kind of this conference championship round is a little bit different. But do we have any players or teams that you guys view that has the most pressure? I'm gonna go with you first, Cole.
I wouldn't say it's a ton of pressure, but I mean Curry definitely has the most. I wouldn't say it's a lot though. Like you look at like Curry and Jimmy are the two that have been most recent to the finals. So you obviously look at those guys first to get back to the finals because they have that experience. Curry and Jimmy come to mind. Curry probably more so because he's kind of that finals MVP has been lost upon him for whatever reason. Jason Tatum's up there. Obviously, I think he's probably my pick just because he has not broken through all the way. And everybody has been waiting on it. He's been a monster in the first two. He beat Kevin Durant. He beat Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can he get there? That's what everybody's been waiting on. So it's one of Tatum, Butler, or Curry. Probably Tatum, Curry, Butler in that order, I'd say.
Okay. What you got, JB?
So I would definitely say probably the team that's under the most pressure would probably be Golden State. I think Golden State kind of, when we look back at their championship run, a lot of people are probably not going to give them their due because they won 2 of the 3 with Kevin Durant. And I think that there's a lot of doubt whether they could have won a second or third one without Kevin Durant. So I think the Warriors are favored here. Like I posted on Facebook that I think the Mavericks can win the series. I think the Mavericks can win the series, but Golden State's going to be favored. And I understand why they're going to be favored, but if Golden State was to lose to the Mavericks, I think that there could be some dire consequences in their future for them losing the series. And it sounds kind of weird because they've won 3 championships and they've been a stable franchise. But I think that if they were to lose the series, I think that they would go from being contenders to just another team. And definitely, I agree with Cole. I think that Tatum is under, I wouldn't say a lot of pressure, but he's under pressure because he's 24 years old and people have been waiting for him to break through. So I would say the Warriors, Tatum's under pressure. And Jimmy is under pressure too because Jimmy's getting up there and Jimmy hasn't gotten that championship yet as well.
What you got, Maui?
I'm agreeing with both of you. I don't think there's a lot of pressure going around. But I will say I'm gonna answer the question. I'm gonna say team wise, I do think Golden State. And it should be. They really, with the main core, they really only won one championship without Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? So if they lose, you got to look at it like, okay, we need to do something. We definitely need to try to get younger and they got to make some moves. They got to. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say the player that got the most pressure is Brown. I don't think it's Tatum. I think Tatum has made his mark. I think he's made his mark, and and I think they remember, it was always a discussion about both of them, like which one. Remember in the beginning of the year, Smart was pissed because it seemed like they wasn't passing the ball. I think Brown hasn't played well, and I think that it's a mark for him too. If he plays well, they're going to be dominant. They're actually going to be pretty good. So I think it's a lot of pressure on him because I know he's thinking like, if I don't do better, I might not be here. You don't
think he's played well? I think he's played pretty well. I mean, he had a stinker in game 1 against Milwaukee, but he played fairly good, like shooting the ball. Yeah. He hasn't been as dominant as Tatum has been, but he's been steady though. He's been steady, like giving them 20 something a game, like 19, 20 something. He's been steady for them. He hasn't had that. Go ahead. You can say that again, Cole.
I was gonna say he's the quintessential second option, like you're saying. He's a steady 19, 20 plays.
20 guy.
He does not need to do
he hasn't. Yeah. He hasn't had that like that insane game per se that like Tatum had in game 6, but he's been nice and steady for them. Yeah, he hasn't needed to. And he hasn't even had that game that Horford had in game 4, but he's been nice and steady, shooting a good percentage. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When I think of Brown, I'm thinking that he would give you one of those Horford or even Williams game. Even though Williams is probably out of this world hitting all those threes, but I've been waiting for Brown because Brown is supposed to be that. At one time they was like, which one is it going to be, Tatum or him? And I think maybe you guys are telling me he made a decision like, okay, Tatum, do your thing. But I still think some of his decisions, I was like, oh yeah, he looked like he's forcing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. He does make bad decisions. His shot selection at times can be kind of bad. Yeah,
right. And he struggles with the little things, making free throws. Like he turns over the ball, like just dribbling.
And that's what I'm talking about. Those things are what I'm talking about.
Like stuff you just notice watching the game. Like it doesn't show up on a stat sheet. Like he'll miss a couple free throws. He'll like lose the ball dribbling. And you're like, what's going on here?
They're gonna need that going down the stretch. Hence the if they want to advance, these kind of things cannot happen. Especially if they want to win the Eastern Conference. So I totally get that. I mean, like you said, maybe, and it's weird to say Golden State has the pressure because a part of me is like, they're lucky they're even here, honestly. Yes. Because I mean, we think about like even I'm thinking back 3 years ago obviously we knew Kevin Durant injury, knew he won't coming back, and then Clay getting hurt, and then on top of the ACL injury, then in November, the day before the draft in 2020, he tears his Achilles, and you think to yourself, this team is not going to this run is over. So there is pressure because in a sense, this might be it. This could be their potential last dance, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So I think out of all the teams, they probably have all the pressure because I can see Dallas they playing with house money, Boston playing with house money. And even to an extent, Miami, because I think Miami, they still have that window that we think that the close, in quotes. So, it's kind of what we think today. Like, we think it, but I don't, But I think Golden State probably has the most pressure, even though it's really a great thing that they even hear. Like, if someone would have told me, the day before the draft in 2020 that they would be back in the Western Conference Finals, I'd be like, nah, there ain't no way. Like, their window is done. So that's why I look at it from that standpoint. Like Jimmy, I think Jimmy's another guy too, where they're in age and just like I talked about him the other day. He's a sports sociopath. So like the whole thing about you chose me over Tobias Harris and
Tobias Harris over
me, and I'm thinking to myself, and then if you can't back that up with another finals performance or or going to the NBA finals present day, it might be justified, honestly. As far as if you can't get as far, if it's of how the Eastern Conference play out. That's what I mean more so than anything. It's almost like, you just get to the next round and then get eliminated. It's damn near the same thing. So, in that sense. So I look at him and, like you said, the age, and especially when he was in the era, I think, especially when we look at in this era, like with LeBron, KD, and all like that type of situation where, especially I think when him being in Chicago, he was to me was always like the antagonist of this Cleveland and Chicago rivalry that we were on. It was somewhat of a rivalry, but it was kind of like we wanted it to happen, but obviously we knew Cleveland was pretty much on the receiving end of all those. It wasn't really it was a one-sided rivalry that Cleveland pretty much dominated in this generation, but we all know the previous generation. We know how that happened, but we would have created Elos of this generation. But yeah. So, fellas, let's next topic. What's the let's what we got here. Individual matchups that you're looking forward to seeing. I'm gonna go with you first, Cole.
I got a couple. I want to see who the Warriors throw on Luka because they don't have Gary Payton. Is it going to be Andrew Wiggins? Is it going to be Draymond? Is it going to be Kuminga? I want to see who they throw on Luka. And on the flip side, I want to see who the Mavs throw on Steph. Is it going to be Reggie Bullock? Is it going to be Jalen Brunson? And if it is a Jalen Brunson or Luka Doncic, are they going to pick on him and make them run around, waste all their energy defensively? So I want to see how the Warriors and Mavs match up with their superstars.
Yeah. What you got, Matt? My bad. What you got, JB?
So for me, I'm looking at the Bam matchup. I'm looking at what Boston does to Bam. I think Bam's a very good defender, and I think that if Boston is taking shots late in the shot clock and Bam is out on the perimeter, I think that that's a win for Miami. But I'm looking at Bam and his rim protection. That's something that I'm going to be looking at in this game, in this series, because I think that Bam's rim protection might be huge, because I do think Boston's going to be more willing to take the ball to the rack because there's no Giannis and there's no Brook Lopez. I think people kind of underestimate Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is a freaking monster, man. He's a very big deterrent. So Boston settled for a lot of threes in the last series, and I think they're going to be more willing to attack the rim because even though Bam's a good defender, he's not a massive body under there. So, and then out west, I'm looking to see what the Mavs do with Luka. I mean, I don't think they have a lot of good options to guard Luka in this series, and I think it's a bit scary. And I do think that you're going to see Draymond Green on Luka sometimes, but Draymond's a good defender. Draymond's a good defender, but I think that if they're doing that consistently, I think Draymond's going to end up in foul trouble.
I kind of hope Kuminga answers the call. I really do.
Yeah,
he's going to show me a lot. If he's yes, Luka, let's go, then I'm all in on Kuminga. If he addresses that, then I think that kid's going to be a star.
And another
with it, I'm a little tempted.
And another one I'm looking at too is I'm looking at Jordan Poole. I think Jordan Poole had a really good year, but Jordan Poole's very weak on defense. I expect for Dallas to attack him relentlessly, and I would not be surprised to see Jalen Brunson attacking him a lot as well. Jalen Brunson has the potential to have a huge series. I think he's going to have favorable matchups going against Poole and going against Curry. I think he's going to have a lot of favorable matchups.
Agreed.
Yeah. What you got, Matt?
Oh man, definitely. I want to see how they're gonna. Well, I'm watching it now and see how they're gonna who they're gonna put up against Bam. I think what I'm saying. That's their wild card is Bam, and yeah, it's looking kind of weird right now when I'm watching the game. But it's so interesting, to see what the Warriors gonna do, because we sit here talking Luka, but Brunson is killing. And not one time have we said anything about Dinwiddie. And if Dinwiddie is knocking his shots down, and I mean, I just see that the Warriors. I just see them with the pace that I know Dallas used in that defense. I see them in foul trouble a lot. You know what I mean? And I think they're a different team when Draymond ain't on the floor. And I
most definitely.
I see Klay Thompson pouting a lot because he can't do the things that he used to do. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's going to be flashes of that, but
I think Clay's going to be the guy they attack. JB, you talked about attacking Poole. I actually think Poole's a little bit of a better defender than Klay is right now. I think Klay is hobbled, and you can tell that he's missed a lot of basketball in the past couple of years, and he's still getting up to speed a little bit. So I'd be interested to see if they try to pick at that Luka Klay matchup a little, and if Klay shows me something. If he's a little back to old Klay, that'd be huge. But he showed flash of it in the Grizzlies series. But
And Cole, I also think this. I think there are going to be times where Dallas actually puts Dorian Finney-Smith on stuff as well. I think there are going to be times. I think there are going to be times where they put Dorian Finney-Smith on stuff. I think they're going to use Reggie Bullock somewhat, and they're going to use some other people. But I think Dorian Finney-Smith could actually. I think Dorian Finney-Smith could give Steph some problems.
Here's an X factor for you. Frank Ntilikina. Ntilikina played really well against Chris Paul and Booker, so that's going to be another guy that Steph's going to have to deal with. So if the Warriors want to go small, the Mavs can too. So I think that's the big story.
I just hope the Warriors don't try to do what they did against the Raptors and was like the hell with the 3-point line and tried to run in and do like 2-pointers and move the ball like crazy because their pace is always fast. They shoot fast and everything. And man, I just think Luka, it's so weird, man. The way his Euro step and how he get in there, he do his two. Like, it's just so strange how he could just maneuver his body, man, and then get him up in the air. Like,
all right, he just fluid, bro. He just, that's just how he roll. Like, but like you said,
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'll say this: if there is a team that knows how to deal with an ISO heavy offense and a coach and a scheme, the Warriors saw James Harden for years. Years. So it's nothing new to them either. So that aspect of it has to play into it.
The only issue with that, like I said, when I watched that game, we saw Luka. That's because Luka you really pay attention. Luka was like, man, it ain't even about me, Shotty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Brunson was killing them. And they knew it. They was like, man, this little dude is small, but he plays big.
Hey, you don't got to tell me I played against Brunson in high school. He kicked my teeth in. So,
for real? Hey, did he need an assistant? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Rockford, Auburn. I got called up to varsity my sophomore year, and they're like, it was like he had like 22 in the first quarter, and they're like, Reigns, you want anything? And I was like, I'm good. I'll come in the second half when they got the bench warmers in. So
you know what he has? You know what Brunson has too? He has the same thing Pat Beverly has. And truth be told, no disrespect to the NBA, he don't get the calls he deserves. That's one thing I saw last game too that was bothering me. I'm like, yo, you just seen him get smacked in his face. And then Chris Paul go down and he don't even hardly do anything. He falling back and then they call the foul. I mean, come on. We see it, man. Lie to me, McFly. Lie to me. Anyway.
Yeah, and like I said, I think my biggest thing was what JB said earlier, as far as the matchups, what they're gonna do with Steph Curry. Obviously, we know like my nephew Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith did a great job of, with Chris Paul and Devin Booker as far as him coming off screen. So now you look at the situation. Now you got a guy like a Steph Curry, like who's gonna be the primary defendant on him. So that's gonna be kind of one of the things gonna be definitely an interesting tidbit of the series that I'm looking forward to watching as well. So as far as those two guys, and we know those guys have just been killing it perimeter defensive wise for the Mavericks. Throughout, obviously in the Phoenix series, that was really illuminating. Obviously, but they've been doing their thing since the jump. So that's gonna be the one I'm really the one I'm really keen in out of all the matchups in this in the conference championship as well too, because that's concerned. So fellas, let's go around the horn. Prediction time. So who is going to win the Eastern Conference and who's going to win the Western Conference? Who's going to get a ticket to the NBA Finals and how many games? So what you got, Cole?
Mavs in 6, Heat in 7. Give me that rematch.
Oh, 2006? 2006 and
2011.
Oh, Dirk went off. Yeah, now Jason Kidd. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, Jason Kidd and Haslam.
Yeah.
You know,
hey, Haslam's still there. Talking about you were talking
boy.
about Jared Dudley's importance earlier. Udonis Haslam's got a pretty big importance too. When you look at the Jimmy Butler fighting Eric Spoelstra, he was the first guy in there. So
yeah, we got a rematch potentially.
Yes, I like Mavs Heat there.
What you got, JB?
Give me the Celtics in 6. Although, like, I'm a bit concerned about Horford. I'm concerned about how much time Horford's gonna miss. But I'm sure Marcus Smart will probably play the next game. But give me the Celtics in 6, and give me the Mavs in 6.
Okay. What you got, Bowie?
I'm gonna say I really want to agree with you, JB. That sounds about right. But I'm gonna say Celtics, Heat in 7. Just because out of respect of Eric Spoelstra, I think he had figured out just to push it, to push it down. But I'm gonna give the Mavs. I'm gonna say the Mavs 6. It's crazy that I'm saying that. But I just think they're gonna rely on them 3 guys. I think they're really gonna rely on them, man. And we've seen they age. We've seen them against the Raptors. They look, and and they got a lot of heart, man. But I think this year, I'm telling you, I think the storyline of this year is really a lot of those guys are really, really getting old. You know what I mean? Yeah. They really are. You see flashes of some of those, but they're really getting old, man.
But salt and pepper gang still exists in this NBA streets. Don't get it twisted. No old guys still do anything out here. Don't discount the salt and pepper gang of the NBA. But give me the Warriors in 6 and give me the Celtics in 6. We're gonna have a coast to coast NBA finals. So we're gonna go to the harbor. Well, first we're gonna get an Uber. Go to the harbor and see Steph Curry because he's wicked smart.
Hey,
and wicked smart. Marcus Smart versus Curry, and it's a wicked smart.
I'll say this, man. For NBA 75th anniversary, 2 story franchises. It feels like NBA might push that a little bit. I'll hand up, but that's not a bad call.
The harbor, both got harbors.
Are we picking? I'm actually picking the Celtics, man. Was that the next one? Who we may pick for the championship, or is we gonna wait for that?
That's 2 weeks from today.
All right, I'm really, because me being a LeBron fan and being with the Lakers, and I knew this season that they both had 17 championships, right? So I was sitting here like, man, they should be focused. They gonna win, and I'm looking at Boston like they got a good chance of winning this damn championship. And I've been watching the winning time, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god,
a big F you to Laker Nation.
Right? I'm sitting here looking like that storyline about the garden and the leprechaun. I was sitting here like, oh my god, I'm sitting like that is going to be crazy because all they've been talking about is the Clippers all this year, and I'm like, man, if the Celtics win. I wouldn't want to be Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, shove up your winning time. Shove up that winning time up your chowder. But the harbor matchup. So Deshaun, if we go, you gonna drive your car from Boston to go to San Francisco?
Hey Cole, be honest. Because I remember you now. Do you miss PJ Tucker? Did y'all miss PJ Tucker?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think we would, honest to God. I didn't think we would because I've been saying it's a guard-driven league.
Right.
But 3-and-D, man. 3-and-D is so important, man. And also, I think another thing I saw from the Milwaukee series is that they couldn't switch. That was another thing that hurt them. Their inability to switch. And Bud, I know people criticize Bud for what he did, and I do think he does some wacky stuff with the rotation, but I just don't think that he had the personnel to do a lot of the stuff he wanted to do.
I could do an hour on the Bucks right now, but I'll just
I
watched a lot of Bucks basketball. Fiserv Forum is 2 blocks that way. I've gone to Fiserv quite a bit, so I watched a lot of Bucks basketball.
Yeah. I would tell you too. One more thing, man.
Go ahead.
I felt a guy like PJ Tucker, who was with Harden all those years, that understands a franchise player. Everybody has to have that guy to be able to motivate him, and I don't think there was nobody there for Giannis to say, "Hey, man, I got your back. Don't worry about it. I got your back." He just sat there. He just seemed like he sat there and looked around like, "Man, I ain't got nobody." And I think every superstar needs to have that.
I've got a laundry list of problems. PJ Tucker was not one of those problems, to be honest. The fact that Dante DiVincenzo was traded for Serge Ibaka, that's a problem. The fact that Chris Middleton was hurt and Drew Holiday felt like he needed to take 55 threes, that's a problem. The fact that the half-court offense was as bad as it was because Middleton is so instrumental in those pick and pops with Giannis, that's a problem. The fact that Wes Matthews and Grayson Allen had brown stains down their leg all throughout games in Boston, that was a problem. The fact that Bud didn't play Javon Carter, that was a problem. I can keep going. You want me to keep going? So,
I got it. Look.
Yeah. So,
why don't you just trade us?
I will say PJ Tucker was instrumental. I didn't think he was because everyone was talking about as his defensive stopper, and he was doing this against KD, and I was like, he wasn't really that good in that series. And then when we got to the Suns matchup, it was a lot more Bobby P than anything, and they went sentimental rather than getting the value. And
right. So why don't you trade us Middleton and you just take Westbrook? I think that's it. I think that's what you need. That's what you need, baby.
You know what? We need a lot more than Russell Westbrook. We need a freaking wing that's not going to crap down his leg in big situations.
Hang up in Rob Pelinka face if he do that.
You can.
Hey man,
Giannis,
I don't treat y'all like that.
And tell Jeannie Buss she can that little cognac or whatever juice she can shove it up. You know what? Ain't no way. I'm giving.
I don't treat y'all like that, man. With y'all teams, man.
Can I ask y'all open floor here?
Ain't no way.
What are the chances we get a Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook part 2? Like, our honest to God, what are our chances?
I don't want him. I don't want Chris Paul.
Hey, you know what? It's too bad.
I'd rather have John Wall. I don't want Chris Paul.
What they say, 2 bad contracts sitting in a tree. KISSING.
I don't want. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. He needs to stay exactly where he's at.
That's one of your banana boat boys. Hey, you know what? That's your banana boat boy.
It feels like the league is like,
LeBron,
we almost had Chris Paul.
LeBron just had him there because he was the president.
You got 3 guys that was on the banana boat on the same team. If you keep Carmelo,
D Wade comes out of retirement.
D Wade come out of retirement.
Remake that picture.
Right.
Hey man, I feel like the off the ball network is attacking me. Okay, y'all doing too much now.
Your boy created this storm. We just got the umbrellas.
Yes.
Whatever.
No, honest to God, I think Chris Paul is going to get traded though. I really do.
I don't think so.
I don't think he's gonna get traded either.
But
I could see him retiring before he got traded. But like traded, no, I don't think so.
That would be fun if he do go to Lakers. That'd be funny. Like it's funny because this should have happened like 12 years ago.
Yeah, with Kobe.
It's a sick NBA joke. That would be a sick NBA joke if Chris Paul get traded to the Lakers. Like,
so
we could have prime Chris Paul and prime Kobe. We now got 38-year-old LeBron and Chris Paul. There we go.
Y'all think they're gonna fire Doc?
No, I don't think so.
They should.
Maybe next year sometime they will. By the way, some of these post-game coaching things have been hilarious. Like what Doc said, like Doc just outright said, he's like, it occurred to me at some point in the third quarter that they were just a better team.
Yeah.
Really? I know. It was like, but ain't no better
and we
option.
couldn't win.
Ain't no better option at this point for them. Because I know people talk about getting D'Antoni, but I'm like, okay, you got the cold, you go get pneumonia.
Man, they want D'Antoni. You know he won't D'Antoni. That's why Harden ain't playing good.
Man.
But for what though? But for
everyone's gonna give hugs and kisses. It's gonna be awesome.
James Harden is gonna be James Harden regardless. Game 6, he gonna fold like a beach shell. So in elimination,
we all know that. But
is he worth doing all that? Getting a coach? No.
Chris Paul and Ayton for an Embiid, and then we hired D'Antoni. Now we're really cooking, boys. Now we're really cooking. Booker and Embiid in Phoenix, Chris Paul and Ayton with James Harden. We got Chris Paul, James Harden, and another mid-tier big with Mike D'Antoni.
Philadelphia will burn to the ground. Philadelphia will riot if that happens.
Yeah, and I can't wait until Tobias Harris is in Oklahoma City next year, and he's like he misses like a month with like a hangnail on his like big toe or something like that. So
he about to. That's crazy. He gonna be he gonna be the OG. He gonna be big bro for Chet Holmgren.
I'm speaking into existence now. They give Harden the Supermax, and Embiid's already been pretty critical of Harden. What are they fire Doc Rivers and bring in the Rockets crew? I wouldn't be shocked to see Embiid say, "Get me the hell out of here."
Let's go back, man. When dude stepped away from the job, Mike D'Antoni, and then the next season, Mike D'Antoni left, and he was supposed to get the Philly job, but they was like, "Oh shit, Doc," and Doc was like, "Well, I'm stepping away. I'm gonna take a vacation." Then all of a sudden, Philly like, "Oh hell no, you can come right over here." You know what I mean?
And you see because. He got fired. This ain't really happened, but he the Andy Reid get fired on a Monday, get hired by Friday.
Yes.
So I've been thinking that the whole time. Like, I mean, they just trying to get Harden up there, and then Mike D'Antoni is gonna come up there.
God, it'd be hilarious.
It ain't worth it.
Together. Oh
no,
I need it now. I need it now.
Now, this is James Harden maybe like 5, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, I would do it. He's worth it. But no, not what he is doing now.
All right, Coach, you remember year before last, right? He was the last one to lead the Rockets, and they were saying he was saying he wasn't going to play, but then he came to play, and he was all out of shape. They was making fun of him. Then all of a sudden, a week later, I don't know what happened to the beer gut. And then he was dropping 35 and 40 points. Like, damn, Harden's is back. Then all of a sudden, he gets traded and he goes to the Nets, knowing he don't want to be there. Everybody knew he wanted to go to Philly.
But do he want to be in Philly?
So what if his whole ploy is to get to Morey? That's what
I'm saying. That's really what I'm saying. It's not even about want to play Philly.
But it ain't worth it.
It's not worth it. But he's absolutely getting the $250 million. And then if I was Embiid, I'd be pissed if I had to deal with an aging James Harden for $250 million.
Right, and I got
me the hell out of there.
My face half broken, and I'm over here. You shot the ball twice in an elimination game. You think I'm gonna sit there? Oh, my fucking face was damn near broke.
That's what I'm saying.
And you gonna sit here and you gonna do all this to appease him? Hell no.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you got a guy that's balling his tail out, and Tyrese Maxey. God bless his soul. That boy was crying like as if like he lost his best friend after he lost that game. And James Harden don't even give a damn about that.
That's what I'm saying.
You see that passion. You see
Harden
that passion.
Pisses everybody off.
Exactly.
Clears house. It's Morey and D'Antoni. The Suns need to make a move.
Exactly. But no, don't do that.
I mean, we're speaking it into existence currently. This is what we're doing.
The thoughts of Cole Reigns does not reflect the blue views.
I had already said this, man, from the get-go. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. Man, I'm telling you, Westbrook is the same way. It's just like it's like he had a plan of what he wanted to do. And I'm like, what's like you missing a 12? You missing a 10? He shot it and it hit the top of the backboard. And I'm like, a lot of mimics like Harden know damn well in the second half he is not so only supposed to take 2 damn shots if he's trying to win a championship. Come on, man.
He gave up, man. He wanted to go to the club. He wanted to get his cognac on.
Hey, man, Philly strip clubs, they like Houston.
He do this
Philly
every
strip
year.
clubs, they like Houston.
He do this every year.
Oh, well, I mean,
I ain't gonna lie. Philly
get
strip clubs do got good oil for your beard. I ain't even gonna lie. They do have good oil for your beard.
I mean, hey, man, 151 makes anything lit.
Perhaps.
You win.
But yeah, I mean, it's a trip. But yeah, man. So fellas, let's put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll go around the horn. Social media, any church announcements, anything that's going on, plug away. I'm going with you first, Cole. What you got going on?
A lot more now that I'm not in school. I got Nothin But Airtime. Weekly's got the show on Dash Radio. It's coming out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, doing all that fun stuff. Getting a few more guests on here off season. We'll get back with some of the fictional basketball tournament stuff and have some fun with that and let everyone decipher if Peter Griffin or Homer Simpson's good at basketball. Nice and fun stuff. So we got some things cooking. So be on the lookout at Nothin But Airtime on Twitter. So
yeah. What you got, JB?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Jamie Bailey. Oh, by the way, I did a podcast with Jerk a few weeks ago.
For real? Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah. We talked hockey and we did the NFL draft. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Jamie Bailey, and then you can find me on Instagram, Jamie B Foodie.
Yeah, shout out to Jerk, the big brain.
Yeah.
What you got, Maui?
Oh man, great show. Good seeing you, Jay Bizzle.
Yeah, nice seeing you too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got some and definitely Cole, man. Again, congratulations, man. Much success to you. You deserve it, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of you too. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Got to say those sort of things. But I definitely DT Morgan 78 Instagram, Deshaun Morgan on Facebook. I'm hearing I got something cooking too. I got a little message from the OBN. What'd you call him? The pod god? What'd you call him?
Oh, the Podfather, Jeff.
Podfather, yeah. He said something about some entertainment stuff, and he was like, he wanted some, he hit me up. So I'm hoping that we can push forward for that.
Yes.
But man, hey, I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to have this with you guys. I'm so happy the topics we had today. I was so hyped. But appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Love to see it. Like I said, man. Yeah, definitely. Podfather get us together. Matter of fact, shout out to him. I think we did a show 2 years ago to the day. I think that's when that got forward. So every huge shout out to Podfather. Looking out for my brethren. Shout out to Podfather. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Also, the website, couchcoachlive.com. Check out the podcast. Anyway, you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, you're there. So, no church announcements quite yet. Nothing, just run-of-the-mill stuff, But we got some stuff kind of cooking, But, once everything, we'll discuss that when it's time. But, yeah, so... once again, appreciate you fellas for coming out this on another great show. So definitely head on to our YouTube page as well. Subscribe to the channel as well. Also, don't forget to go over to goalie.com. Use the promo code CouchCoach. Keep yourself 10% off at the checkout. Just type in Couch Coach and get yourself 10% off. So let's wrap it up for the night. We catch you guys next week, man. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live.
You're welcome.
And we out.